welcome back to the Strong Women Collective channel. How are we all? I hope wherever you are having a gorgeous, gorgeous day. Do you know what? Have we got any rants? I don't think we've got any rants so far this week, which is awesome. So I'll dive right in. Today is going to be a little bit of a quick fire episode. This isn't going to be juicy. This isn't going to be complex, because I think this is one that you need to save for those moments where you just need a little bit of a pep talk. Because we are coming up to halfway through the year. We are in month 6, which means if you committed to yourself at the beginning of the year, this could be feeling quite long right now. I have got a lot of clients at the moment who, because we're coming into the summer months, are in fat loss phases, and I myself am back in fat loss. So again, it's very topical for where we're at within this stage of the year. And today I want to run you through why you should focus on following the plan and not your mood. And again, sounds very freaking easy. I've got this plan. Why wouldn't I follow it? But what we often go through is when we start, we're feeling really motivated. Healthy habits feel easy. We're committed to ourselves. We're like, yeah, I got this. This is going to be super awesome. Workouts get done, protein gets eaten, water gets drunk, and it's awesome. And this is particularly true if you have started something new. So my group program has literally just started on Monday. So the girls have high motivation. They've just committed, they've signed up, they've invested in themselves. They're like, yeah, let's go. They've just got their plan. Everything's feeling really good, but motivation doesn't last. And motivation is something that is terrible to rely on because it is so fickle. You can wake up one day and be like, oh my God, I am ready to freaking smash it. An hour later, when you've been stuck in traffic or you've been called from nursery and your kid's sick and you've got to go home, you're like, right, that's it. I'm done. I'm tapped out. And often what we find is our consistency can really depend on the mood that we wake up in. But the problem is, if we stay stuck in this cycle, then your results and your progress are only ever going to be temporary. And this isn't something that just you suffer with. I suffer with it. Other coaches suffer with it. My clients suffer with it. So we have to learn, to become more resilient and to start tapping into making the decisions that are going to benefit us down the line, rather than keep doing these things that have that immediate gratification or reward. And obviously, where I want to start is why moods are such bad decision makers. And you might think, okay, well, is she teaching me to suck eggs? But you will be amazed at how often this comes up. Good moods are temporary, bad moods are temporary. We just tend to focus on a bad mood and drag it out. But you don't wake up feeling one way and then expect to say that all day. It's just not really how things work. And if you are feeling tired after a bad night's sleep, you've had a stressful day at work, you've had an argument with your partner, you're due on your period, the kids are driving you mad, the weather is disgusting, this is going to throw you off your game. But none of these moods, these temporary things, mean that your goals cease to matter. However, if we allow ourselves to essentially bend to this mood and to allow it to take over, we are going to be cock blocking our own progress. And the sooner we get over this hump of, I feel like this and it's okay that I feel like this, I can still choose to show up, we're going to start making better results, because we need to get better at not letting these temporary feelings allow us to make permanent decisions. And again, I see this a lot. But then girls that are starting off in the gym and they're like, yeah, this is feeling really good. And then they have a bad day or a bad workout. And then they're like, oh, should I even be bothering? Is this the right goal for me? Should I be focusing on this? And it's like, yes, you are just being swayed by how you feel. And you're not going to feel like this in another few hours or another day's time. Let's use some easy examples, right? You don't decide to stop brushing your teeth just because you wake up one morning and you can't be arsed. I hate brushing my teeth. I don't know why. It's the worst job in the world for me. I would actually rather put petrol in my car. I've got an electric car, so it doesn't matter anymore. But I fucking hate brushing my teeth. I love the feeling of clean teeth. I love the satisfaction afterwards. But I hate going through the motions in that process. But I still do it because that would be minging if I didn't. You don't not take your kid to school just because you can't be asked. They have to go. There is a penalty if they don't. Whereas when it comes to exercise and nutrition, we treat it as optional. We say, oh, I can't be bothered today, so I won't. And I know you guys are probably sick of coaches out there saying, you go to work even when you can't be asked, so you can go to the gym when you can't be asked, but you still don't do anything about it. So unfortunately, this is where we're at. Okay. And the other thing is that, like, I can say with a lot of experience, I've been a coach for the last 10 years. The women that get their dream results, whatever they are, dream body, strength, physique, muscle mass, tone, whatever their goals are, whatever it is, they are not inherently more motivated than you or I. They just get better at showing up. I did a post on Instagram today about how I've lost 4 kilos inside 7 weeks, but here is why I would not tell you to do exactly what I've done. And I made reference to the fact that I am very consistent. This is not something that I'm sat here bragging about. It's the truth. I do the things day in, day out, week in, week out. Not because I am more motivated than you. I just have got very good at doing it when I'm tired, due on, hormonal, can't be arsed, slept like shit. Because I know that it is more important for me to go and try than it is for me to say, no, I'm not going to bother. And some days I do legit not go to the gym. But actually, probably since the beginning of the year, I've maybe probably only actually missed 5 or 6 gym sessions since the beginning of the year. And one of them was the other day because the manager lost the keys. Whoopsie. I have not always been this way. At the beginning of my fitness journey, after about 18 months of starting at the gym, I used to go to a class-based gym. And I then started working in Manchester, which meant I had a longer commute. I was getting in the gym a lot later. And I would, in the end, regularly, the trainer would be late. So I'd be running in 10 minutes late to a class. And if I was 20 minutes late, I wouldn't bother because I'm like, that's not fair for me to disrupt a 40-minute class walking in 20 minutes late. They've already done too much. And sometimes I used to literally just go home and I would be ready for the gym and I'd just go home because by 6:30 at night, you're tired. Of course you are. And then I started pushing myself to commit to, I had to go and see whatever space was free and try and do some cardio. Go and do something. Just keep up the momentum of going into the gym space. And it helped. I've had periods of time where I haven't been consistent. But over the last, probably since I got my first coach, because that was when I really started prioritizing my workouts on the gym floor. So that would have been 2019. So for the last 7 years, I have been relatively consistent because for me, it's that balance of not just my physical goals, but my mental health as well. In the beginning, it does feel a lot harder. And I go through this process with my clients and working on their limiting beliefs, their challenges, etc. Because particularly if you're starting something new, what often comes up is, I can't be bothered today. I'll start next Monday. I missed that workout, so it doesn't really matter. I deserve a takeaway because I've been really quote unquote good all week. But the problem is these are just you making excuses for yourself. And the people that get the better results just get better at tuning out the noise and not obeying every single thought or feeling. Because when you can learn to hear the thought or have the craving or feel the feeling and choose not to react, you have more capacity to follow the legitimate plan. And my girls know I say this a lot, follow the plan, not the mood. You are gonna have times in which you feel like you are dragging yourself through mud. That is okay. I spent the bulk of 2025 really not enjoying the gym. I didn't enjoy my training. I didn't enjoy the gym space that I was in. I felt oddly really self-conscious. I just didn't like anything. Didn't like anything about it. So to make it harder for myself to bail, I started going to the gym before I started work. So before that, when I was back in Kent, I used to train at the gym about 10:30, 11. So I'd get up, go for a walk, start work, do my check-ins, have breakfast, go to the gym. That was the way I worked it. And I very quickly realized that I wasn't enjoying that in Manchester and in my new gym. So the way I manipulated it is I now get into the gym for when it opens at 6 a.m. I've just made it a little bit harder to skip out on a workout because as long as I can get up and get a coffee, I'm up then. At that point, I might as well go because I'm up and I'm ready. I've just made it, for me, harder to skip out. I often don't want to. I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't wake up raring to go. Most days I wake up absolutely freaking knackered. I don't jump out of bed, stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and get very buzzing. I just get up, get dressed, I go downstairs, I make a coffee. And at the time I have to get up and drag my boyfriend up, I go, oh God, should we do this? And he goes, oh God. And I go, oh, fucking hell. But we go anyway. And obviously, yes, it does help that we have each other. But at that time in the morning, it is me doing the dragging. Again, that is not because I am some disciplined freak. It is just because I then operate better. I operate better from the perspective of I've had some time for me before I then go and give 12 hours to my clients and my business. I operate better because I have generated some endorphins, literally by the skin of my teeth. I've drunk some water. I've moved my body. That for me is the beauty of training at that time of the morning. And my clients have their own micro routines. Some of them train before work, some of them train at lunch, some of them train after work. They'll do all of the things like pack their gym bag and take it to work with them, make it so that they go to the gym on the way home so they don't get to stop at home first. All of these things just mean that they increase their chance of actually getting their shit done. It's why things like food prep, meal plans, doing a weekly food shop make your life easier, because if you have a prepped lunch in front of you, it is harder to not eat it and to go out to Tesco or wherever and buy another lunch than it is to have what you've got. Whereas if you're constantly on the back foot, you're constantly like, what am I going to have? What am I going to do? What am I going to get? You then keep having to make these adjustments, and you have to keep asking yourself, am I going to make the decision that's in line with my goals or not? So the more you've got fridge stock with lean protein, fruit and veg, Greek yogurt, etc., well, then that's what you've got to eat. If you've got a freezer full of, frozen pizzas, chicken nuggets, you've got crisps in the cupboard, loads of chocolate, loads of biscuits, you've got no fruit, no veg, well, what are you going to have? It stands to reason that you're going to have these foods that are potentially less healthful and less aligned with your goals. What we have to remember is that our mood is data. It's not direction. And I know that sounds very cliche, but you can feel sad, frustrated, lonely, upset, anxious, bored. You can feel like fuming that your kid's off sick again, or fuming that your husband didn't go and do the top-up food shop that you asked, or fuming because you've forgotten your sports bra. Of course, you are allowed to feel that. I'm not saying don't feel it. I'm not expecting you to become a robot, but you can be tired and do it anyway. You can be sad and do it anyway. You can be happy and do it anyway. The key is in being able to flex on what you need. So, for example, if you have slept like shit for the last 3 nights for whatever reason, reduce the weight that you're lifting. Do 2 sets, not 3. Go for a walk instead of a run. Just do something. Yes, of course, have an earlier night. Drink some water. Have some nutrients. But you being tired doesn't mean you have to abandon your whole day and lie like a Victorian woman on a fainting couch. Your body is capable of a lot more. Your brain is the problem. I am also not saying run yourself into the ground, but we often give up at any small sign of discomfort. We've got period pain. Oh God, no, couldn't train. When actually exercising is one of the best things for you. We sleep like shit and we go, oh no, I just don't have the energy to train. But instead we could go for a walk and get some actual natural daylight and fresh air, which is going to give us an energy boost. We have an inconvenience with dinner and then all of a sudden we're on the phone to Domino's rather than going, right, what have I got that I could pick? I can pull something together that's quick and easy. There's a huge difference between adjusting your plan, scaling back, taking things a little bit easier versus not giving up. And this is what we need to get better at, scaling. Pull it down, wind it back up, take it a little bit easier. Be okay with it being easier for a day. Again, I don't claim to be a fucking magical princess who finds this easy all the time. My anxiety's been really high this week. My energy's been low. My sleep has been naff. I had to do my 30-minute spin yesterday. Normally I'd do something like a hit and hills or a Tabata. I'd go for like quite intense workouts. I wasn't feeling it. I'd had a little lunchtime cry. We like a little cry every now and then. Little scheduled cry before going back to work. And so I told myself that I had to do it, but I could pick an easier workout. I could pick just a music ride, which on Peloton are quite easy in comparison to like Tabata and hit and hills. As it then turned out, I picked a rolling hills one, which in hindsight wasn't my best choice. But then I said to myself, all you've got to do is do the minimum of what she's saying. You don't have to be near the middle, which is where I like to be. If they've got like a range of, 45 to 65 on resistance. I like to be like 55 and above. So I started at the bottom. Adjustment that Ali said to make was that I allowed myself the permission to do the bare minimum. There were some things I could do heavier, some things I had to peel back. But the commitment was I've just got to try something. Partly, yes, because I have to lead from the front. Like I can't expect my clients to do this if I'm not showing up for myself and doing it. But also because I know about the compounding effect of showing up. Me showing up and still doing that class meant I still got some endorphins. It meant I still hit my movement goals for the day. It meant that although it was easier, I still got to tick that box to say that I did it, which then meant getting up for the gym this morning was that little bit easier because I knew I'd already showed up yesterday. I already know that because of those decisions yesterday, I'm one day aligned with my fat loss goals for the week and my actions that I need to take. Because it's very easy to think these transformations that you see, these before and after photos, are built from somebody being the most disciplined person, with the most rigid meal plan, the most aggressive cardio. But the best transformations come from doing the workout that you nearly skipped, showing up and going to the gym anyway, even if you have to pull it back, going for a walk even though it's raining, going for a run even though you're feeling a little bit tired. The amount of times I will have a client text me and be like, I did not want to do this, but look at my PB. I didn't want to do that, but look what I've managed to lift. Because I will say this time and time again, our bodies are so freaking capable. They are a lot more capable than we give them credit for. It's our brains. They are the muscle that we need to work the most. And you might be at the beginning of your journey. You might not yet have much proof that you can do this. You might not yet have much proof of why showing up is super important. But I can show you hundreds of client journeys where the people that you see who are where you want to be, they didn't just get there based on being perfect. They got there being consistently imperfect and consistently actioning the plan. Because the quicker you can pivot, the easier it becomes, because you spend less and less time fighting against yourself and feeling like you failed. And I do tend to think that you are literally just one next great decision away from inching yourself further forward. And I say this within the context of whether you've missed a whole week of workouts or the scales have gone up or you haven't quite stuck to your calories. You have a choice. You have a choice about what you do next. And this is why I want you to save this and come back to this later, because if you look at somebody and they have the strength, the physique, etc., that you want, that is not based on one specific perfect plan. It's made up of hundreds and thousands of tiny, sometimes insignificant decisions that compound over time, that build this dream life, physique, business, whatever it is. And I will hold my hands up. I have days, weeks, months sometimes where I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. And that's why I spend so much of my life now at maintenance, because unless I'm in it, I don't want to be half-assed in fat loss. Like, I either want to be in it or I want to be out of it. And again, that's probably part of a deeper conversation. But to start with, all I want you to think of is, how can I make that next one decision that moves me closer to my goals? Because you are not going to feel motivated all the time. You are not going to want to do the stuff all of the time, no matter what it is. You can love your business, love your kids, love your family to death, but it doesn't mean you always want to be the on parent. It doesn't mean you want to always be the one doing the discipline and the packed lunches or doing the times tables. Sometimes you just want to just be, but you show up because that's where you're at. And so many women put off their starting anything until they want to wait to feel ready to start, ready to track accurately, ready to go to the gym, ready to prioritize themselves. But there's no time in which you ever feel ready. You just have to decide enough is enough and I'm going in. And action creates better motivation. Yes, of course, being locked in on why you're doing it, being, very intrinsically motivated, wanting this for you, not for the external validation. Great. But sometimes you just have to go, okay, right, do you know what? I'm starting, I'm not waiting, because otherwise I'll just keep putting barriers in my way. So instead of asking yourself like, oh, do I feel like this? Do I feel like this? It's like, no. What's the next thing on my plan? What's the next action that I need to take? What's the next meal I need to prep? What's the next training session I need to do? And this, as an aside, is why you should always have a training plan in the gym. Legitimately, 2 girls stood next to me this morning. They went, well, where are we starting? And my head's going, babes, why do you not have a plan? Because then they started with tricep pushdowns, then went to face pulls. And there's no real remit where they want to be first in a workout. And I'm like, see, if you had a plan, you'd know exactly what you needed to be doing. And then it also gets easier because it's another box to tick. And particularly if you struggle with having to make a lot of decisions, having it written out in front of you makes your life so much easier. So that being said, spaces are open to join Solo, which is my lifting app created for you guys so that you always have a plan to follow in the gym. Everything is laid out for you, your sets, your reps, your weights. Every plan progresses from one to the other, so you will constantly be being pushed. And you can get access for just $19.99 a month with a free 7-day trial. All of the details are in the show notes, but you're going to strongwomencollective.com and clicking the solo button, and that will sign you up for your free trial for 7 days. To try us for free, we have got training plans to suit all abilities. Anyway, that is sounding a little bit too much like a commercial for me. Save this podcast episode for the reminder that you are invariably going to need. And if this has raised any questions, you've got any queries, please do feel free to get in touch with me. Have a beautiful day, a beautiful week wherever you are, and I will be back with you soon.